COLA, cost of living increase, across the board for all employees. And the other, large, well, I'm not gonna say large, but the other, increase was the water and sewer, rates. So the county has implemented a 3% increase in water, so we put that 3% increase for us, and then we are also allowed to increase another 3%. So total water increases would be 6%. On the sewer, they increased 9%, so we put that increase in ours, and then also did another 3%, so total of 12% for sewer. So I will start at the top. This is, Fund 1 is our general government with, the revenues are on page 1. You can see that the tax revenue, we are estimating an overall 10% increase in these tax revenues. Ad valorem, we believe that there'll be about a 1%. To date, we have collected $802,000. So we are a little shy of what our original budget from last year was, but at the time, we don't know who's gonna pay their taxes and who are not. So these numbers are based on the information that we have from the tax roll provided by the county. Overall, we do expect a decrease, a little bit of a decrease in the licensing and permits. We have not received, you can see the building permits have decreased a little bit. The sales tax, half-cent sales tax, overall, it's a 0% increase. There's only $4,000 more out of $1.2 million. And charges for services, we do expect about a 9% increase, and that's mainly coming from the tipping fees. Fines and forfeitures, we kept our local ordinance in at 25,000, and so we expected a couple more in judgments and fines. It's a small amount of 5% increase. Overall, we expect an increase in Fund 1 general government revenues of approximately 4%. So $3,760,819. Any questions on the revenue? Continuing on page 2 at the very bottom, this starts our expenditures. 519 is our general government department. Everything is pretty consistent with prior year and year. We did increase the audit and accounting line item based on this year's cost of the audit. That cost is estimated to be approximately $80,000, with 75% allocated to this fund, and then Tony's fund receives the other 25%, and you'll see that later in our budget.
Why is there such a big increase? Can you explain?
The auditors have adjusted their rates, and then each year they increase it a little bit. So we're estimating.
Richard's not our guy anymore, and the other people that are there took it over,
Right.
and they charge you more than what he did.
So Richard, that had been our auditor for 30 years, charged the Parker rate because he was a partner in the firm. He retired from Carl Riggs and Ingram, and when he did, they signed new people, and they brought us up to speed that other people would normally pay for the service that he gave us the reduced amount on.
Understood.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so flipping over to.
Can we go back
page-
up there to the parks contributions over
Yes.
there where it says received 8710, one-time donation?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
was that for?
I believe that was Mr. Chappell's donation.
I think it was the
For the pole barn.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I wanted to exclude that. I just was worried that somebody might question why we had so much in the current year, and yet we were budgeting a reduction in next year, but we wouldn't be expecting that again. Okay, flipping over to about midway on page 4, the total general government expenditures is estimated to be 539,820, which is an approximate 6% increase.
laptops that you got budgeted for? What are they for?
13 laptops. Well, if Hunter was here, he could tell them to you better because he's in charge of the computer programs for the city. I'm told that they're for all of the people in the city that currently have a computer. Not in this budget, but our plan for the future would be that we would no longer, we're beholden right now to the computer company that does our work, our maintenance. He owns all of the computers. That's a dangerous place to be because in the event that he decides to no longer do business with us, literally he could take all of the computers out of the city hall and we don't have one anymore. We wouldn't have the computer system available to us. As of yesterday morning, and I'm not sure I think the chief's at the hospital this morning, but yeah, as of yesterday morning, I'd received a call from Carl Riggs and Ingram, the audit firm. One of the items they're going to write us up for this year is because the computer company that we currently do business with is called what?
Flux.
Flux Labs. Have not responded to and will not respond to any of the communications from Carl Riggs and Ingram so that they can put it in the audit. We've gone as far as to reach out to Mr. Sloan to discover that Carl Riggs and Ingram, if they ask a contractor of the city of Parker to provide information, it's just like Sloan asked, and you've got to respond to them. So I've asked Chief Hutto to look into the possibility of, well, first of all, getting the information from Flux Labs to give to Carl Riggs and Ingram. Those computers were put in there, and I think probably rightly so, by the last city clerk to buy 13 laptops, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Mr. Summerlin?
I believe that's the direction she was going.
Yep. If there's a change to that, I'd like to hear it because, like I said, the chief's not here, so he can't answer. But all the computers in the fire department are owned by the fire department. All the computers in the police department are owned by the police department. But admin's and Tony Summerlin's computers are owned by Flux Labs.
Are you saying we're just gonna buy these and wait? What are we?
Well, the ones we've got, like for example, Miss Purdue's is broken, and she's sitting there with a damaged computer. And we've asked him numerous times to come fix it, replace it, repair it. It hadn't happened. What my understanding is, unless I'm wrong, without Dennis being here, it's hard for me to say, but we're going to replace those computers with our computers.
Well, why are we doing it with laptops?
That I can't answer. I don't. There may be a reason.
Well, I don't feel comfortable with everybody got a laptop. Somebody could walk out of here, somebody could pick the laptop up and walk out or whatever.
Okay.
Why, I mean, that's just would be my concern.
Okay.
Is why we don't have
Can you mark that and ask Kato, because I don't know the answer why, but yesterday he seemed to think that was the way to go,
Well,
and I don't know enough about it to know.
And I don't know, maybe we could change the wording from laptop to desktop.
Or just computer.
Just computers, because I think the clerk had a laptop, there was a laptop that mayor had, and I believe there could be one here. I think there was a third one in here.
The only one I know of is the clerk's.
That was a leftover that was in my desk, and I never used it, so she took it and used it.
But there may not be a need for a laptop.
No.
There's like remote access.
Right.
We could chain them down too if we got to.
yeah. Well, I'm just, I think about how laptops could get out, walk out.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're gonna be sitting there and they're supposed to be there anyway,
Yeah.
like in the water department and
Yeah.
and the code enforcement and the planning,
Right.
why should they have a laptop to go anywhere?
I don't know why. I do not know the answer. You'll have to ask Hato.
I'm not very computer oriented, but last computers I bought have always been laptops. Or the old tower types, are they more expensive, less expensive, or
Well, you
which,
got the
which one?
screen, you got all of it right there.
It's what's in it, though. That's what it is.
The-
Laptops were for portability, weren't they?
Yes, and the current, towers, they used to be very,
Right.
very tall, they're
Sure.
kinda got slender. The one that I currently have on my desk is a square.
That's how mine is too. It's a little
It is-
cube.
It is tiny,
That's
so
insane.
it's way smaller than my laptop,
I understand.
so it could easily.
They've come a long way since you.
But Ms. Barrow, I don't know your answer to your questions,
I'm
because
just, well, that was just a
we
thought.
spent an hour yesterday on it, and I don't know, he'll have to tell you.
I'm sure, I don't, well, that would take an hour, just to talk to him about it.
I'm
Okay.
still remarking about the wheel when it was created. That's my technology.
Okay, well, let's go on, move on.
Okay. Moving on to Department, 521, which is the police department. Their overall increase is approximately 24%. However, there is budgeted $100,000 to be paid to the county sheriff's department for dispatch. This is not something that we, have had budgeted in the past. We did have to pay some of it in this current year. Next year, there will be a cost of $100,000 for that dispatch. Chief has also requested, 2 new police cars. Cars 39 and 40 will be, used for reserve officers instead of daily operations.
Are
of the
they,
police department.
are they, what kind of vehicles are they? Well, you know, we've been buying cars and cars and cars and cars for this police department. And that's, what was it,
They're about
126,000
60,000 apiece.
for 2 cars.
As far as just, to put my little, what I can say on this is that, we went almost 3 years without buying any because of Hurricane Michael. So instead of normally where we buy a car, buy 1 car, buy 2 car, buy 1 car, buy 2 car, we went 3 years without any. And so you're looking at car 39 and car 40, they're both sitting with over 100,000 miles on them. And, we're kind of behind the curve. I know it appears that we bought a bunch of new cars, but I wish Heather was here to speak more about it, whatever, but I don't feel that he has patrol cars for his officers right now to patrol in that won't have a mechanical issue. Car 39's already had, the motor swapped out in it, the timing chain swapped out in it. Car 40's also had the timing chain swapped out in it. I mean, they might have 100,000 miles on them, but they've got a lot more idle hours.
Well, I'm sure they do because I do not see them riding around Parker anywhere. I mean, just saying.
And,
You know,
and they're not made like the Crown Vics anymore.
No,
Crown
that's for
Vics,
sure.
They'd last forever, but I had the chance to talk to Chief Hutto last night of that incident, and Officer Sykes as well. And the 2 they're wanting to replace, they say you driving 50 miles an hour, you feel like you got Parkinson's disease, I guess. But they said they're really bad shape.
I'd rather him be here to defend his budget,
Right.
So, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions on the police department?
Did all the officers there just get a 3%
Yes,
increase? All of them?
everybody.
Yes, they.
Every employee in the city got a 3% COLA.
And that was the only increase in the police department was the COLA.
And what was that? What's the COLA this year?
3%.
3%?
If there's no questions in police, we'll move on to fire department. This, overall is down 8%. We have taken the number of employees we had 4, and now we have budgeted for 3. We took out the lieutenant position.
So it was in our decision-making process to preparing the budget, we thought about a daily supervisor because the fire chief's a volunteer and he can't be there every 5 minutes, and we've had some serious problems down there with the paid personnel. Hopefully it's under control now, but the police department desired a 9th officer. They also are being charged $50,000 this year by Sheriff Ford to maintain dispatch because they lost their dispatch from Springfield. So what I opted to do was to give them the salary of the 4th employee so that they could offset their. They wanted to hire more manpower and they wanted to be able to have dispatch. So I gave the salary and benefits from the fire department to the police department. They in turn voted amongst themselves not to have a raise this year, only a COLA, and that money would go to paying for their 10th officer. And that's why the numbers appear they do. It gave us, what is it, 9%, 10%? overall reduction?
For which one? Fire? 8%.
8% across the board at fire. So it went down because of the remaining unspent salary of the fourth employee.
The police department took just the 3% COLA.
Yes,
Police department.
yes.
How much were they expecting to get?
We never had that conversation because they didn't want it. They would rather have a new employee than they would a raise.
Well, where did they get any information that they were gonna get bigger raises than a 3%?
They did not. That was what they estimated. Again, I say if Chief Huddle's not here, I can't answer that question because he's not here to tell you the correct answer. But what I'm telling you is that they chose to have a new officer, and the way we were going to pay him when they decided that was with some of the revenue. The revenue from the fire department really wasn't for a new officer. It was for them to be able to be dispatched. Because if we did not hire Sheriff Ford and pay him to dispatch the police department, then we would have been out of the police department 3 months ago. We would have had no dispatch. But that's how we came up with the money for Dennis to keep his police officer.
To keep their the police officers?
They gained a police officer, and they were able to secure dispatch. So, what was the final figure for the total for the police department
For their wages?
for the whole year?
For the whole year was
About $1.6 million.
128.
1.2.
1.2, and then next year we'll go to 1.3 because we got to give Sheriff Ford 100,000, and then the following year it'll go to 1.4, and then the following year we will have to hire dispatchers because Sheriff Ford only gave the chief 3 years of dispatch at 100,000. So then we'll have to hire dispatchers. We'll be at about. We think the chief will tell you better than I can, but we believe it's going to be 400,000 a year to dispatch those 9 officers. Currently, Miss Pam is doing it in the daytime, and then we'd have to hire dispatchers to work when she went home.
Well, I thought that was her job when she was hired.
Yeah, but not 24 hours a day.
No, but while she's here on,
Well, my understanding is until 3 months ago, she wasn't dispatching. But when this order was given to us, the city notice was given to us in the form of a letter from the police chief of Springfield. That's when basically we got into it on how to fix this problem, and that's when we decided, the chief decided that she would do daytime dispatch. The problem with that right now is in the daytime, a huge problem for today is this. Detective Perdue not only is patrolling and detecting, and he's got a lot of work on his plate from yesterday, he's also dispatching. And it's just too much. It's just incredibly too much. And even though I gave him a whole employee's revenue for the cost of doing that with benefits, it still isn't enough. So, moving forward, council, you may have to make some decisions.
I have issues with taking stuff from the fire department because they don't get enough as it is.
Well, as it may be, there was nothing else to give, ma'am. If you remember when we voted on the ad valorem tax, we voted that that would go to Mr. Summerlin. We never said we'd give it to the fire department. We never said we'd give it to the police department. We never said we'd give it to admin. We said we'd use it to fix the infrastructure. And that's where I believe that money should go. And although it is not easy to give that up, there was no other option. Something had to be given up. Tony's already 4 employees short. That's why it looks like he has excess money, but that is not true. The reason he has excess money is because he can't get anybody to pass drug screen to come to work for Public Works. And that's the bottom line. And it's not a City of Parker problem, it's a national problem.
Well, I'd like, when we start hiring new employees, personally, I would like to know who these people are. I'd go all over Parker and couldn't tell you who they are. Employees, police officers, nobody. You wave at a police officer, they just keep going. They don't know who you are, and every one of them should know
Who
something
y'all
about
are.
council. Yeah, I mean, I'm just don't not. If I walked out there right now, there's probably all the new ones. I couldn't even tell you who, except for
4 a.m.
Mr. Hunt. I know him from before, but you just don't know who they are. And you drive by them and you wave at them, they look at you like, who that is? You know,
To be fair, and he's not here to speak to his budget, that's why I said I didn't really want to talk about it. We have had a turnover in some of the recruit trainees that they bring in there. 3 last year that came in, worked for a few months, and then quit. So I'm not saying what you're saying is right or wrong. I'm just saying that he has experienced a lot of turnover.
I would assume so, especially with the heat they have to endure too. That's probably making them drop like flies.
Who were you talking about? Police department?
Yeah.
You talking,
Oh, I was talking.
yeah, he was talking about
Oh,
police department. That's
gotcha.
right.
Tony's, they leave. Tony's go monthly.
That's what I say. I never know who's back there, who ain't.
It's kind of hard to introduce them to you when they might not be here that long.
Yeah, that's true, but
Maybe we wait till after their probation is
We did so many drug tests the week before last, they got the public works and police mixed together. Not us, the drug tester. But again, I say, Hutto can answer these questions better than I can. All we did was we gave up that 4th employee. It was the right thing to do because we did not have the money to pay for the dispatch. And so the decision was simple. The employee left. We had the money. We had to pay it to Tom Ford. Sheriff Ford agreed to do the dispatch for $100,000 a year. That's a bargain. And immediately took over the day that Callaway stopped. Had they have not done that, we would have been out of the police business. We would. And the city should have a police department. It should. It should have admin, police, fire, and public works to be a city. If you're not going to have a police department, then we need to look at consolidation.
well,
That's-
I'm not questioning that. I understand all that.
Right.
Just, the fire department needs so much more too, because they're out there trying to protect the citizens too.
Yeah, that's true.
So take
And I understand what you're saying,
take it
but
away
what,
from them, I
the,
don't like
we don't have excess anything. I mean, I've got a pretty good savings going for the next hurricane, but I don't want to spend savings that I need to be able to run the city in a hurricane. With the changes coming down in the Florida legislature, being that the city has to have revenue to cover its own expenditures during a hurricane before FEMA comes and steps in and reimburses the money, we have to have a savings program in order to do that. And the only thing that we had available, ma'am, the only thing that was available at that time was the salary from the employee that resigned and went to Lynn Haven. So there was no choice. But you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to decide. We're going to get to a point where we have to decide how much do you want to spend for the police department annually. Because I don't think we can beat one, as you said, it was $1.2 million.
for next year.
$1.2 million, plus it's going to $1.3 million then.
This upcoming year that we're doing the budget right now, their proposed budget is
1.2, and what was it last year?
1 million.
Even, so it's going up 200,000, and then the following year it'll go up another 100,000. Then the following year, we have no choice, because Sheriff Ford said he only got 3 years of doing it the way, he has a hard time getting employees too. So, we need to have a plan moving forward to how we intend to dispatch the patrol officers. That's what we have to have.
Well, I'm just saying that every employee in this city is just as important as the
Yes,
police department.
I agree.
Anyway, let's move on.
But see, some of those cars that the cops have got, I'm just telling you the truth. The last administration did not buy a car for years. And so we were behind the power curve. That's why we had to have what we have to have. But at the end of the day, if you dial 911, you should have a policeman come to your call, come to your aid in a vehicle that's going to get him there. We've got And it's the same for the fire department. If we get a 911, we need a fire truck that's gonna get there, a rescue truck that's gonna get there without breaking down. God forbid that we ever got to where we had to break down. Now, Hado, he just went to South Florida and he got a used car in some kind of raffle that he did. That's okay, but that car is not gonna last very long. It won't. It's already done its job. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Moving on to code enforcement, their two large expenses are the demolition. We still are projecting 7 homes at $5,000 apiece, and animal control still estimating that to be over 48,000. So code enforcement actually has a 1% decrease, but the majority of it is reallocating the positions that were added to code enforcement. We have Randy, and then we had allocated just 30% of the city planner code utility. They were getting split between those 30, so we
Right.
reduced the percentage a little bit, for this current budget to 30%. That's the overall reduction there. Any questions on the code?
No, ma'am, not for me, because it's pretty simple, really. It's not very.
Alright, moving on to Department 534, which is trash. Everything is pretty consistent. There is a 0% increase in their overall budget. Street Department. So over on page 9, we have, $50,000 has been requested for sidewalk drain pipes and driveway repairs. 750,000, is for infrastructure. 500 of that is gonna come from the half-cent infrastructure tax back up in the revenue section of current year. 250,000 of that will come from what we have collected in infrastructure in prior year. And then Tony has requested 65,000 to replace a 1995 Chevy truck. Their overall budget would increase 33%.
32%?
33%.
Okay, very good.
Any questions on street?
What is the truck for? What do you use the truck for, Tom?
It's a street truck, it's the guys running the weed eaters and everything in it. It's running on, that truck actually is running on 7 cylinders right now.
Well, it's better than those 7.
Should have bought a 6-cylinder.
It's still running, but it's got a dead cylinder.
Okay.
Department 549, we have a slight increase, which is the fleet of just 4%. Our overall budget is only 56,000. Department 572 is parks. Down below the bottom of the schedule, we have budgeted $220,000 for the remainder that's in PCL for the sports complex phase 2. 15,000 for the full lawn lean-to, and 30,000 for a new lawnmower. Overall, those
Is
expenditures.
that one lawnmower?
30 grand?
Jesus Christ.
That's what one of the Kubota.
It's expensive, man.
Wow.
The lawnmower's right at, 23, 24, and then once we put the canopy on it and the run flat tires, it comes right at 30.
Wow.
But we just sold 3 lawnmowers at the auction that were 99 and 2000s, so we got 20 years. You know, they last a very long time.
20 goats would be a lot cheaper.
Yes, sir.
They would be too, and you get it for free.
I had one employee to watch them all too, and they probably mow a lot more.
A goat roper.
That's right.
The overall parks, budget will increase 155% because of those expenditures. So that brings our total Fund 1. We have estimated revenues of $3,760,000, which is a 4% increase over prior year. Total expenditures of $4,698,000, which is a 24% increase. So that is a deficit of $937,000. We're gonna add back in $250,000 for the infrastructure that we've already collected. So our net deficit in Fund 1 is going to be $687,322.
And that will come from ad valorem.
This is what we have to transfer over from Tony's leftovers.
Right.
is the CRA. We have budgeted to receive another $169,000 of revenue. In the expense column, we have $283,000 budgeted to finish the Melende project. This is the cost that we estimate will be in excess of the grant that we currently have in place. We will use this, so this isn't invested in the current year, but we will use $117,000 that we received in this current year that we did not spend to fund that difference. Currently, there's a balance in the bank account for CRA of $182,000. So using this and getting our projected revenue will leave us approximately $65,000 in the bank account. Any questions on CRA? Okay. Moving on to Fund 41, this is our utility fund. Again, water revenue, I already spoke to, but we have, we're budgeting a 6% increase in water revenue. Again, the county implemented 3% increase, and then we are allowed to increase another 3%. Sewer revenue increasing by 12%. County increased 9%, and we added the 3 additional percent on there. So a total increase of approximately 11% from prior year for utility revenue. We are including the remainder of the CDBG grant for the manhole linings. That is $686,000. The exact same amount is expensed over in our sewer department, so that is a wash of zero. And I'll point that out when we get down to our expense section. So overall, total revenues for Fund 41 utility is approximately 15% higher than what we currently have budgeted. In the water department, we're on to our expenditures now. Everything remained pretty consistent. The only item was $110,000 payment on a new back truck. That is $146,000. Overall, water department expenses increased 31% to a total of $933,496. Any questions on the water department expenditures? Okay. Moving on to the sewer department. Everything is pretty consistent as in prior years. We have the $20,000, here's your other 25% of our audit. We've increased our cost of the sewer based on the county's increase. And flipping over to the last page, the improvements other than buildings, $822,000. This includes $120,000 to replace the 2000 F-350 utility truck. Tony has requested 2 lift station communication devices. Those are $12,000 apiece. And then this is where the CDBG manhole lining grant expenditures of $686,000 go. An overall increase in the water department expenditures of 21%. Overall, for Fund 41, I did find an error in my schedule, but it's on last year's budget, not this year's budget. But it just affects our percentages. The total revenue is $3,924,558 for a total of 15% increase, and our total expenditures is $3,059,000 for a surplus of $865,000. So instead of that saying -5%, it really needs to say 24%. I had an error in the original budget that I was comparing that to. Any questions on utility fund? Okay. Fund 42, we've gone ahead and put in our SRF because we are wanting to pay off the drinking water loan, which is approximately $56,000. And then it also includes our semi-annual payment of the $11,000 for the clean water loan. to for loan repayments of $78,000. That brings our grand total for all funds. We have total revenue of $7,854,000. We're gonna cash carry forward $367,250 of that's the unrestricted cash. The other 117 is the CRA cash. We are spending $8,000,001, and that leaves us back $100,000. The $100,000 will then be transferred to our savings, and we have a net budget balanced of 0.
Thank you very much. What I'd like to say, ladies and gentlemen, you'll work next Tuesday and next Thursday, is that correct? Suzanne, what's your schedule for the, so that the council can come to you privately and speak to you individually if they should have something?
I'm here
Monday?
And if I need
So-
to come back Thursday, I'll
Okay, so next Monday or Thursday, if you guys would like to sit down with Suzanne, I know you probably will still be out, John, but Thursday, if there's any questions you have, this is a really good, well-balanced budget. We could, you could sit down with her and she could tell you the answers to everything you need to know about this money. Except for maybe, I don't know. I do have one thing that's not in the budget. We're not gonna put it in the budget this year. But next year, once this budget's been approved, Mr. Summerlin has got 2 excavators. How many? 2 backhoes that are war slap out. He thinks he can get about 30,000 in auction value for the pair. Just not for the budget, just to put in the back of your mind to think about it. He tells me the one he wants to replace it with, and I haven't seen it yet, is about 125,000. In the next few months leading up to this budget being completed, I'd like to be thinking in next year's budget that we buy him that backhoe and we defer the payment until we start seeing the infrastructure ad valorem money coming in the next fiscal year. We would sell the 2 wore out backhoes and put that down as a deposit and defer the payment until, say, November, December, and make one payment for the whole amount and not use any kind of financing. I haven't done the research on it yet, but I don't want to spend money that we have in savings, and we don't really have enough we'd have to change the budget to put it in now. But next year, the more businesses that open in Parker, the more money we will get from ad valorem. And as these new businesses start to go online, we're really going to see some ad valorem coming in. And I'd like you to just think about that. And I have one other thing I want you to think about, and I don't know what I'd need to do to get this to happen. And I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying, and it probably won't happen while I'm your mayor, but I'd like to get to a point where we generate enough ad valorem tax from commercial revenue that we don't have to tax the people of Parker ad valorem tax or any amount. It would only come from commercial. Once that pipe's in the ground and all this stuff is happening on the parkway, all those businesses, the revenue from all those businesses, the middleman, everybody, will make it so that we don't need to tax the people like we have done in the past to get by. So I would like you to be thinking about that too. So
I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I've always talked about getting garbage trucks.
right.
I think I would rather see revenues
Go buy some
funding the
garbage
ci-
trucks.
funding the city instead of revenue from taxes. I think that would be a venture to
How much do you think that they would make, John? Because I haven't looked into it. I don't know.
what was there?
Millions?
There's good money in it. I know that.
I think I pay $25 a month. That's what I think I pay for mine.
Well, that's cheap. That is really cheap.
That is, isn't it?
Right.
So
But-
that's
but-
$300 a year.
But as well, because there is a garbage issue in the city where it's not being picked up by the local
Well,
franchise.
so the issue I have is some people don't even pay for garbage service.
Right, but you know, years ago, we passed an ordinance, if you don't have garbage service, you don't have water. That way, you know, the city could
control the people.
Monitor, you know,
Right.
if you don't have garbage, you don't have water.
Right,
And I think that would be a win-win either way. I know it's a big investment,
okay,
and I know Tony doesn't like the idea of
We looked
garbage
at it,
trucks.
like I said, we looked at it, and the initial cost would basically be, if we bought all the trash cans and all the trucks, it would be about the third year.
before we get a revenue
before we
back.
start making money.
But next year, Tony,
It would
we,
be about the third year, everything would be paid for.
but what he just said is true, commercial revenue that's gonna come in from ad valorem, from all these new businesses, we could probably pay for it 1 year. I don't know what it costs though, you gotta tell me.
Well, I mean, like I said, we can work on it again, but like I said, people aren't doing it if they're not making money.
Well, you're gonna have to buy all the stuff, you gotta get employees, you got all that stuff. I know me and he and I have always been at different odds with that, and I.
Yeah, but
don't
if it's
agree.
not if it's not beneficial to us, then hell, I don't support it.
Well, we gotta maintain the trucks, gotta get rid of the garbage, and that's already a big old fee to get rid of what we have.
Okay,
I mean, you gotta think about all that. How much are we gonna make off of it after all that comes out of it?
I understand.
I've thought about this too, you know, how many franchises do we have coming into the city right now?
I think there's 4.
4? Well, at one time there was 6. And, you know, those trucks making, some heavy trucks, making 2 trips through the city per
Landfill,
week
right?
on the streets.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a lot of wear and tear.
Monday and
It'd be-
Thursday
if
mine is.
we just had the city of Parker running our trucks, that'd be a lot less heavy traffic,
Right.
a lot less cost of paving, so on and so forth.
Right.
Well,
I'm open to any suggestion,
I got
Council.
a dumpster, pleased with my dumpster, my son puts his garbage in there, then he'd have to pay for garbage to the city of Parker when I'm already paying, well, I don't agree with it, so. I don't think it, I like my garbage.
Can I look into it and get some numbers up for us to talk about?
I'd be tickled to, yeah. I've always thought it'd be a
I
great idea.
just said to Tony this morning when we were doing the tour of the city, what's the next big project? He goes, oh hell, I hope there ain't one. We want to finish what we got. Okay. All right, guys, well, that's pretty much it for this meeting. If you want to meet with Suzanne, and then we'll have 2 more official meetings where we'll go over it in more depth. So,
The first one's
Anybody
the second,
got-
right?
Do we have a date on when the other meeting is?
September 3rd,
Is it the third or the second?
she said 3rd, it'd have to be the day after Labor Day.
right.
Yeah.
And Suzanne, we know the days we have to have, don't we, so we can publish it.
Right,
Very good, very, very good.
So
I'm
it's the
so proud
third?
of you guys.
the third. And the other one was the
Second of
16th?
September?
No,
Labor
the
Day?
3rd of September.
The 3rd would be the day after Labor Day, wouldn't
Day
it?
after.
Yeah, Labor Day we're closed, right?
Yes. So it'll be the third,
At what
It's
time?
It's at 5:01,
5:01.
At what time?
5:01 at night.
not a minute or.
Oh,
Not a minute earlier, and not a minute later.
That beats the heck out of 9 o'clock. I don't like mornings.
Okay, you'd prefer an evening for you? 5:01? Is
And
that
then
what
the
you prefer?
16th?
Well, Miss Barrow would, because she's out in the heat all damn day. She,
It's in my, I don't have it on my calendar, I think it's in the minutes.
7:15 this morning, going at it.
right?
That's my alarm was going off that time.
That's a
Okay.
regular council
I
meeting
got
day,
been up
so we'll have the
2
budget
hours.
hearing and then the council
Yes,
meeting.
yes. All right, everybody, thank you. See you in the next one.
Can we have a